Brilliant. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of our brand new behind the scenes interview series, where I will be interviewing incredible people who make expedition cruising what it is today. The experts, leaders, crew members whose passion and dedication bring those itineraries and voyages to life. And I'm incredibly excited to kick things off with someone who has spent over 20 years at sea. And since 2008, she has been part of Hapag-Lloyd Cruises, and today she holds the role of General Expedition Manager. Her motto, "The world is my playground," could not be more fitting, and as she continues to inspire the guests and the travel trade across the globe. And actually, Nadine is also joining us from on board the ship somewhere in Alaska. So please join me in welcoming Nadine Ambrust from Hapag-Lloyd Cruises. Hi, Nadine. Well, first of all, a huge thank you for joining me today. And let's kick this off with a couple of questions about you and how you got into working in expedition cruising industry. So you have been working in expedition cruising for more than 20 years, and you have served on a variety of different vessels across the globe. Looking back, what initially drew you to life at sea, and what keeps you going back?
Quite an interesting question, actually, and good morning. Well, actually, it was a friend of the family who said, like, well, I worked for Hapag-Lloyd like somehow in the 80s, and it was the most fantastic time. You should go and work on a ship. And this is when I was 16, so I was not really thinking about working on an expedition ship at that time, obviously. But I finished my trainees and worked in the hotels. I went abroad, and then all of a sudden I decided to let's give it a try. Let's go on a ship, because it came back into my mind. So I sent in an application on a Friday, and the following Saturday I was on board my very first ship, because it was just like, okay, let's go, let's try it. And I told my mom I will do it for a year. And well, 22 years later, I'm sitting here. So obviously something catched me. I think it's like, it's a second family. It's exploring the world. It's being at places where others might never go to, or only a small amount of people. But also other places where a lot of people are going to. So it's a good mixture. And especially expedition cruises is just amazing. I mean, you go out to the nature, you just somewhere where you haven't even heard about it before, probably. You can sail the Amazon, you can sail the Northwest Passage, different passages. You can, like the semi-circumnavigation we did this winter. So it's just amazing every day, and having people around who are particularly there to enjoy this beautiness. It's like travel with like-minded people is really nice.
Oh, amazing. So yeah, absolutely. And I think, well, we're going to talk about the Amazon in a minute. So your current role at Hapag-Lloyd Cruises is the General Expeditions Manager. So for those who are not very familiar, can you describe what your role entails on board and how it differs from a traditional cruise director role, I would say?
Well, first we started having the position as an expedition director, but then it went to the general expedition manager. So it's a combination of being cruise director, but also with some further parts. So I'm in charge for the usual things as well, like the announcements. I'm in charge for the daily program, putting the things together with the expedition leader as well as with the captain and the hotel manager. So we're in a very close communication, obviously, arranging the days. Thinking about new programs, getting the artists sorted, which is very limited on an expedition ship, but you have them. And the experts make a nice setup for the lectures, for the themes, that it makes sense when they're put on the program. And basically a lot of communication with the guests, always around the guests, but also with the head office, of course. So it's like a mixture of everything.
So you basically are a connector of all different parts of the operations that makes things happen.
Sounds good. Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so you have traveled on many different ships in the Hapag-Lloyd fleet. How would you say the expedition ships, such as the Hanseatic Nature, stand apart in terms of the guest experience and operational approach?
Well, it's a small ship with like sailing in polar regions or other regions with only like 200 guests. on board around. And this makes it very personal. So from the very first minute, you meet the people at the gangway.
Mm.
A lot of them you know already from other trips, but also some newbies,
Yeah.
of course, with us most of the time. So it's a very, very, very personal being together on a trip, sharing these emotions which are happening because of what's happening outside. And this makes it very unique being on a very small ship. This experience going to places where
Mm.
others might not be able to go to because the ship is too big. Taking the Zodiacs out, just sailing somewhere, cruising somewhere, trying to find new places as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
And how about the adaptability? Because I imagine, when you compare to sort of more fixed itineraries on perhaps ocean-going ships, I think expedition cruising can sometimes be a bit more interesting, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
There's always a plan B, C, D, E, F. So
Brilliant.
that's a nice part about it being. I mean, of course, we have kind of a
Of
guideline
course,
going
yeah.
through a cruise, and but the most fixed points are the starting and the end point, basically.
Excellent. So the world is my playground is such a wonderful personal motto. So how does that mindset influence the way you design daily activities and guest experiences on board the ship? How would...
Well, I'm always out and about. I'm always
Mm.
around the people. I always try to see if we put new programs, for example. I always like to see the reactions. How is it working? Do people like it, or do we have to adjust it, or if it's maybe something that we're not
Mm.
doing again, and it's a one once in a lifetime. And it's like building up together with the
Mm.
people. It's like a team basically with the guests as well. So we are in a very close communication. We hear the people, we
Yeah.
talk to the people, we can adjust. And I always say, like, only if you talk to us we can help you. So
Yeah.
sometimes maybe you have a hidden secret and you want the duvet folded in another direction, or you rather have the boots a size bigger than a size smaller. If you don't talk to us, we cannot arrange it. And
Yeah.
that's what it makes also so nice. And yeah, very active actually. It's a nice being around and see how it grows and see how it grows together and how it works basically.
Brilliant. And moving now a little bit more towards the Amazon river expeditions. So rivers, right? I mean, Amazon River presents several, I would imagine, unique navigational challenges from shifting channels to tight bends. And can you just walk us through how Hapag-Lloyd cruises plan and execute a voyage that reaches as far as Iquitos in Peru? Just,
Well,
from
it's
operational side of things.
it's an amazing river. I mean, it's changing
Yeah.
basically day by day. So especially it's changing year by year. We only go there once a year up and then once a year down again. So that's about it. And within a year, a lot of things can change. So we have very experienced captains and bridge officers, which are steering the ship. Basically, the whole Amazon region is hand steering, so there's no autopilot. It's always on hand steering. So it's of course also a very interesting part for the bridge and a very
Yeah.
intense one. And they have always pilots on the bridge, which are required by law. So we have to take them because they know the river basically a little bit deeper as well.
Yeah.
They can read also the streams and stuff like that. So they have always a pilot on the bridge, but they could do it alone as well, I think. Because they
Yeah.
have been
Yeah.
up and down the river with also with the Bremen, with the Hanseatic.
Mm,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of experience around. And well, basically, you have to adapt from day to day.
Yeah.
When the pilots are coming on board, the planning will be discussed because sometimes passages are changing from year to year. So
Okay.
last year it was a normal passage, but this year it's a very high stream. You can only go there during the daytime. It's a daytime passage.
Mm,
You're not allowed to go through by night. So it's very flexible, and this is how the itinerary builds up. Of course, we also have a plan to go to Iquitos with different stops, but we also like to search for new places in between. Sometimes the pilot says something like, okay, I know
okay.
this one. or our local spotters, which are from the Amazon, which are living along the river. Sometimes also they know other places. We just give it a try. We go there and we see what we can find. So it's like a big thing,
Yeah.
putting everything together. Basically, you can't describe it in one sentence.
Brilliant. So talking about navigating the river, and I'm sure you use the Zodiacs quite a lot as well. So Zodiac excursions typically is a huge highlight for majority of clients to be able to join and to sort of explore. Could you share some examples of memorable wildlife encounters in the Amazon, and what is exactly the role of those local spotters and how they make, how they bring the Amazon to life, if you like, when you are traveling in that part of the world?
Well, we do have a team of experts
Mm-hmm.
from the ship, which are doing lectures on board as well. And then additionally, we have the spotters, which are around five or six of them. And we know them, or they know us also a long time already. Like one of our expedition leaders, she's working for Hapag-Lloyd on the Amazon since the 90s. So she was
Okay.
one of the first ones being expedition leader there. And she's still with us, and her husband, and that puts the expertise in a nice way. So we have the spotters which are in the boats with us, and we have the experts which are in the boats with us. And actually, there's every day there are encounters. Sometimes they're very small, that we find a big termite nest somewhere, and actually they're crawling all around. And sometimes we see a sloth or plenty of birds. And this beautiness of the Amazon. You start from the river. Well, we're anchoring on the big river, then we
Yeah.
take the Zodiacs, and then we go to the side arms, to the little creeks, um, trying to get as far as we can. Of course, this is always depending from year to year how far we can go, depending on the water level.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have it with a little less water. This year was, as I have seen from the pictures, there was much more water already,
Okay.
more water than last year in the side arms. And then actually the water shows you the way. You just follow it and you go further and further. It's not always the
Okay.
same way, because you find new places to go, and you have plenty birds you can spot. Sometimes you just dive with the Zodiac into the trees, basically,
Yeah.
because the water is that high that you can drive through the trees,
Yeah.
and you find bird species, you find plants, you find little orchids which are sitting somewhere on the trees.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of everything. It's about animals, it's about plants, it's about green in 50 shades of green, basically, somehow.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a great combination.
Am I right in thinking that on Amazon expeditions there is a possibility as well to do like night zodiacs or like night, yeah, night? Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that
If you like,
sounds very exciting.
if
Yeah.
you like, I could also start sharing
Yeah. Yeah.
some
Please.
pictures,
Yeah.
maybe, so we can have that.
In the background.
Let's wait a second. So here we are. Yes, we do have night excursions as well. I do have a picture about that too. So actually, night starts very early, because the sun basically falls down into the river around about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. And this is where we start preparing the Zodiac, something like 7 o'clock. So
Okay.
it's not like midnight or something. It's more like after
Yeah.
dinner. And we do it at places where we have been in the morning, so everybody gets orientated, and it also
Okay.
puts piece to the puzzle, basically. And then we dive into the river, and it's the Zodiacs are equipped with a spotter, which they have a light.
Yeah.
That's the only light that can be used in the Zodiac, because otherwise the driver gets blind.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then we drive into the side arms, and then we're on the search. You have the lamp, which allows you to screen like the coastline,
Yeah.
basically, and you look for reflections, like red reflections for the caimans, or like greenish reflections for little snakes sitting somewhere on
Yeah.
a tree branch. And it's quite amazing, because everybody's very quiet and just tries to find something.
Yeah.
If it's a big putu, or if it's a small snake. So we also like to go into little side arms where we just turn off the engine. So
Yeah.
there's always a
Yeah.
silent moment. We communicated with the whole team, with the Zodiacs in the water, and then we just switch off the engine and we just listen to the sound of the Amazon.
Yeah, because
And
I
that
was, yeah, I was like, I was going to ask you, it must be an amazing sound of the jungle and rainforest and then especially in the night, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You
Yeah.
also hear it during the day already a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but during the night it's even more intense, especially when you just you're just quiet and everything is quiet and everybody's just listening, and then it starts, and then little glowworms are appearing in the swimming grass all around you, and you hear the frogs and everything. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That sounds brilliant. Actually, which leads very nicely to my next question. So, for travel advisors who sell Amazon expeditions, what do you think are the most compelling sort of wow factors that make Amazon expedition with Hapag-Lloyd cruises stand out from other river or sort of jungle travel experiences? Those wow factors.
Well, I mean, the first wow factor is that you can travel a river about 4,000 kilometers into one direction, and you're nearer
Mm,
to the Pacific coast at the end than you have started at the
wow.
Atlantic Ocean, basically. Um, and every day is an adventure. Every day is different, even though the river stays more or less the same, but sometimes it's more narrow, sometimes it's
Hmm.
wider. You add the animal encounters. Of course, we're not driving through a zoo. This has to be very clear. I mean, it's not like the sloths are hanging on the side waving at you,
Yeah.
just waiting for you to pass by. But it also works on your senses to see things. From
Yeah.
the first day, most of the people don't see anything, because they're just overwhelmed with everything what's happening. And then
Mm,
from day to day you see more. You get little guidebooks with birds to identify. We have a sighting list that we always um, um,
update. Yeah.
update from day to day, so that they see the amount of things that we have actually seen. We have also on board, we have an ocean academy where we take up things that we have seen, maybe something for the microscope or something just in
Mm,
a deeper discussion. Of course, we only take things which are floating around, so nothing is cut or something, but we take things
mm,
that are floating around that have been taken away by the
yeah.
flood already, to show it in a more intense way. And there's so many wow effects. It's actually it's difficult to put
Okay.
to say two
It's
or
fine.
three. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. And so, Hapag-Lloyd Cruises is obviously a luxury expedition cruise company. How would you say you balance the adventurous exploration, such as daily jungle landings or, Zodiac cruises, with comfort and safety on board for guests who may be new to expedition cruising? How would you say?
Well, you can actually enjoy an Amazon expedition with all senses. So starting from the culinary facts on board, and of course
Mm,
the beautiful cabins, which are all inspired by nature. So the nature team has been taken on board as well, with the whole interior, and also the colors on board. And even though being a luxury cruise ship, I do think the expedition part is definitely not missing, because we're out and about every day. I
yeah.
mean, most of the time we start like at 6 o'clock in the morning with the Zodiacs. This is a part where I always say, like, even though it's early, come and don't miss any of the outings, because especially the morning hours
Yeah.
when the sun is rising and the Amazon basically starts to awake, um, it's simply amazing. And then afterwards, you can still take another nap if after you had a breakfast. And then usually we're sailing over lunchtime to the next destination, because we don't want to be out and about too much in the middle of the day
Mm,
because of the heat, um, which is normally around 30 degrees Celsius, but sometimes it can
mm,
be a little bit higher as well. It's a huge humidity, of course.
yeah.
So we're sailing over lunch, everybody gets ready, and then in the afternoon, just before it starts getting dark again, we do the next outing. So we try to avoid the middle of the heat. Yeah.
So before I go into sort of more practical questions about Amazon expeditions, what do you think, or like from your experience, what is the thing that guests are most surprised about the experience that they didn't think about before joining the Amazon expedition? Or just sort of, something that none of us know because we've never been there, because you kind of expect, okay, there's going to be mosquitoes, it's river, it's probably there will be animals, like, so, but something that surprises people, in your opinion, if there is such thing. If there isn't, it's okay.
Well, I do actually think an Amazon expedition is
Mm,
something so unique. I
uh-huh.
mean, yes, there are ships, I think a couple of ships going to Manaus,
Mm,
being at the pier, returning. I also saw the one or the other bigger ship going down the river, but of course they're not having the same experience as us because they can only use either the Tetna or they are on the pier. And in Manaus, it stops. And when you go further, it starts getting like really more local, even more unique. So I do think people don't really understand what they're booking if they book an Amazon expedition. So
uh-huh.
everything is basically new because well, yeah, you think, okay, it's an expedition and you go up the river and you take the Zodiac. So this is the mind most of the people do have at the beginning.
Mm,
And then you have the experiences every day. I mean, you start with the first Zodiac cruise and the water buffalo is swimming next to you because they've just been released from their stalls and they're just in the water and you drive past them in a good distance. Or you end up on another tree and the what's the English name? I forgot now. The animals are just falling from the tree
Stuff, yeah.
because they do that when they are
Full.
when you think someone is too close, but we are not too close, obviously.
uh,
But it's something. It's not that the ship passes by every day, and the
yeah.
wildlife and the people they are not used to it. So it's something really, really unique.
Okay. We are getting now more questions from the audience, and maybe I will ask a couple of them, and I will continue with mine, and we'll have a moment afterwards. But so, on average, how long would you say each Zodiac cruise or landing lasts, based on your experience?
It's between 1.5 hours to 2 hours, depending on the
Okay.
places. Some places we know we have to drive a bit further, or it's worth driving further, or we know
Mm-hmm.
coming back we have to think about the current pushing us back.
Yeah. 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 Sure.
So then we add another half an hour, but usually it's about 1.5 hours per
Okay.
cruise. Also for the night cruise, you can see some pictures
Oh
there
wow.
now
Yeah.
from the
Brilliant.
night outing.
Oh, fantastic. So, talking about, time of travel, is there a specific time of the year when it's best to visit Amazon? Or like, so anything you could share with us on the basis of the time of travel? Because you mentioned you only go there twice a year. So is it the only
Well,
time you can go, or is it just a choice of what, how it fits
of
with the
course,
other itineraries? Yeah.
we do need
Mm.
a certain water level to go
Yeah.
to Iquitos. So we usually go in April, May
Hmm.
around. It's in the rainy season, which does not mean that it's like pouring rain all day long,
Yep.
but it's rainy season and the water level is rising. So this is the time of the year we are going to, and it's a brilliant time to go to, definitely.
Okay. And so obviously I already mentioned mosquitoes. I'm one of these people that gets bitten and eaten alive wherever I show up. So
Good for the others.
yeah, it's good for the others. I know, it's like I'm the repellent, the original repellent. So just for myself and for the others, how, like, so what sort of advice do you give to the guests, and what is the real situation with the mosquitoes during the Amazon cruises when you go there, and what should guests know before they embark?
Well, I think best is to start with the equipment.
Yeah.
There's great outdoor clothing nowadays.
Mm,
I'm driving Zodiac most of the time, so I always wear long sleeves, long
mm,
trousers, and closed shoes. But you can
mm,
find them in very good quality, so that you're
mm,
not like sweating away. But it protects you, and there is insect repellent which you can use for your
mm.
clothes and also for your body. I don't like Me personally, I don't like mosquito spray on my body, so I use the one for my clothes, and this
Okay.
perfectly helps. So if you keep up to some rules, which
Mm.
you are following also when you're sitting along a river somewhere in Germany or Switzerland,
Yeah.
and mosquitoes are coming up, this is a common thing. So if you keep up to some rules, then I think you should be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
There are mosquitoes, yes, but if you keep away from a certain time of the day to be outside, like in dawn time, for example,
Yeah.
then there shouldn't be should not be too much trouble with that, basically. We do take care from the ship side, so we turn off all lights when the sun is going down. We sunset, we switch off the lights from the outside of the ship.
Hmm.
Anyway, we are alone in the Amazon, and it's pitch black, and it's even more nicer than you can see a
Yeah.
beautiful starry the stars in the sky.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And so that prevents us from taking mosquitoes, but also all other sorts of bugs which are flying around
Yeah.
onto the
Okay.
ship.
Okay. Excellent.
That's
And how? So because it's a kind of warm water destination and it's quite hot, as you mentioned before, are there any opportunities at all for the guests to swim other than swimming pool?
Yes, we do have a swimming pool on board, but we
Yeah.
also like to offer swimming
Yeah.
in the Amazon, but not in the normal whitewater river. We usually do that once or twice a cruise in the blackwater rivers.
Okay.
So there's the Rio Negro after Manaus. We're sailing into the Rio Negro. There's a possibility to go swimming from kind of a white sanded beach.
Okay.
But we also have another place in the Blackwater River where we stop to make water production on board as well. And there's also usually there's a nice beach, but this is depending on the water level. So
Okay.
sometimes we arrive there and the beach is gone. But if there's a beach, we offer swimming. And also in the upper part of the Amazon, when
Hmm.
we go to the other Blackwater rivers, we just take the Zodiacs out and we build a platform, and then people can go swimming from the platform.
Okay. I am not sure I know what the white and black water rivers mean. What is the, is it just the names or is
No,
there more
it's
meaning to that?
basically it's the type of the water in the
Okay.
Amazon. So like the main river, which is very
Uh-huh.
brownish with a lot of
Yeah.
sediments. This is like the white water river.
Uh-huh.
And also the pH consistency is a little bit higher.
Okay.
And then there's the Blackwater rivers, which are like the side arms. This is also where the meeting of the river comes from by Manaus. When you pass
Okay.
by, I think I have kind of a picture coming up soon where you can see it a little bit. And in the Blackwater River, there are not so many sediments, so it's better for us, or it's easier for us to make
Yeah.
water, even though it's still
Yeah.
a big topic, of course. And it's also for swimming. And actually, they do say if you go swimming in Blackwater River, you come out like 10 years younger.
Oh, amazing. Sign me up. Um, okay. Actually, there is a question from the audience, but it also relates to something I wanted to ask you anyway. In terms of local communities, so of course, Amazon River, I mean, we all know there are local communities that live along that wonderful waterway. So could you just share with us if clients get any interactions with local communities, how do you engage with them? And what sort of activities or kind of interactions the guests can expect on Amazon River expeditions?
Yes, so we are interacting with the locals quite a lot,
Hmm.
actually. We do have places we're going to since ages, so they
Hmm.
know us, we know them, and we know we are welcome. So what we usually do is on the way up to
Hmm.
Iquitos, we supply the schools with school supply. So we have that on board beforehand, and
Hmm.
we know how many children are in which school because our expedition leader has some contacts with them.
Hmm.
So we prepare packages, and first thing when we come out into the communities, we hand out the school supply. And then afterwards, we're also asking like, okay, is there anything you need for the community? So we will bring it back on the way down and we buy it in Iquitos. And we have a sea chart raffle, for example, a souvenir sea chart, which a passenger could win at the end of the cruise.
Okay.
And all this money goes to the communities as well. So we go and buy stuff with it, and of course it's topped up money wise as well. And there are a lot of things that they need. Like last season, I know they needed a lot of rubber boots and wheelbarrow and some more stuff for the
Yeah.
schools and for the community. So this is what we bring along on the way down then. And passengers are actually involved in that as well. So it happens when the
Mm.
passengers are out there and they see it, and they can talk to the school teachers and the children, and they have quite a good communication with them. It's small communities. It's not
Yeah.
like a big bustling city. It's like
Yeah.
100 people living there maybe.
Okay. Actually, Charlotte is asking, do guests get a chance to hand out those packages to the locals, or is it done by expedition team, the school?
It's always depending how it develops. So the
Mhm.
first school supply usually we will bring down, but sometimes people just start helping carrying the packages with us to the school,
Nice.
so they can involve themselves, of course. But it's very nice to see how the things, and that's what I meant at the beginning with growing together as a team, basically with the passengers as well. Is that like 2 years ago we had a dentist on board as a passenger, and
Uh-huh.
he saw what we were doing, and he was like, well, I have access to like toothbrushes and tooth cream and stuff like that. Is it possible that we send you something and you divide it to the communities? And then it was dealt with Hapag-Lloyd. Everything was sent, and they were happy because there were like toothbrushes from like babies to teacher. There was everything in there, and we
Well,
just added it to the packages. And then 2 years ago, that was also a very nice thing. We were in one school or one village that we always
uh-huh.
visit, and we brought the school supply. And for the first time, they showed us the kitchen, which is like a small room, but it's like
Yeah.
typical from the movies with this big cooking pots and everything. So it was really nice to see it. And there was a water filter standing. It's like a German
Yeah.
company. It's called Paul. It's like Water for the World, they called it.
Okay.
It's a project which was like many years ago. It was very much promoted. And she said, "Yeah, that's our water filter, but it's broken." I'm like, "Okay, this I know these things are very easy to handle actually,
Yeah.
because that's what they are made for, to be easily repaired."
Yeah.
So I quickly called the captain and said, like, is it okay if I take it on board and give it to the engineers? Maybe they can have a look at it. And he
Yeah.
said, yeah, yeah. So we carried it down,
Yeah.
took it in the Zodiac, back on board, and then they had like 2 weeks time to repair it, and they actually made it. So on the way down, we not only brought the wheelbarrow and the rubber boots they wanted, but also I have a
Fixed.
picture of that. I quick here, but also Paul. It's the blue thing in the middle. So
Ah, amazing.
we brought it back, and when we carried it up to the school, I mean they were happy about all the other supplies as well, but when they saw Paul coming back, they were like crying, because it was a good thing for them. They can just put in the Amazon water, basically the black water, and then it's filtered and you have drinking water.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
and passengers who were with us saw that, and they approached me on the ship, said like, well, we know the one who invented it actually, and
Okay.
do you think it would be something that we could supply for the next year for the ships, to bring to the Amazon? And then it was connected with Hapag-Lloyd, and at the end, in December, I think they sent the containers to South America. And this year, when the Hanseatic Nature was in the Amazon, they had like 4 or 5 of these water filters on board, and they distributed it to the communities.
Wow, that's an amazing
Yeah.
story. It's a shame that you never hear these stories, you know. It's we need to record this kind of interview to find out all about these exciting things happening in Amazon. Which, speaking about, local communities and sustainability, probably in general, a little bit more deeply. So I think, many guests are becoming increasingly more conscious about the environmental impact and we leave on all these places we visit. So how does Hapag-Lloyd Cruises approach environmental stewardship in the Amazon? And in general, if you could just talk me through a little bit the sustainability and the treatment of the I think Peter is also asking the treatment of the disposable materials from a trip. How are they being taken care of?
Well, we are working on the highest environmental standards that we
Mm,
can do. So we from starting from the fuel
mm,
for the Zodiacs to the ship being equipped with the possibility to take some shore power as well, which is obviously not possible in the Amazon.
yeah.
That's not existing there, but we do have the possibility in general. And we have very high standards regards to waste management, for
Hmm.
example. So everything is separated to little things, and we can deal with our own garbage basically on board, but we would not dump something in the Amazon
Yeah.
somehow. But there are ports like Manaus where you can officially ask for discharging
Yeah.
garbage, and then you pay for it, and then it's discharged. But of course, we try to keep it to a minimum,
Yeah.
and we leave nothing behind. Of course, we are always having our passengers in the same boat as well. Like, okay, don't leave any plastic bottles outside if you have a plastic bottle, because we have our own bottles for
Yeah.
expedition water that people can take away, and then
Yeah.
it's refilled. Um, so we really try to make
Yeah.
everything as clean as possible and to leave everything as clean as possible.
Brilliant. And I think, looking at the website, these itineraries, they're like around 2 weeks long, 17 days long. Would you
Mhm.
be able to sort of give us a little bit of an idea of what kind of lectures and sort of educational onboard experiences the clients can experience during the trip? Is there enough time for it? Like, especially if you're doing, loads of landings and Zodiac cruises, and, how does that work? And what sort of
Usually
setup
after
you have here? Yeah.
Usually after the morning outing, we do have a lecture, and then in the evening we have the pre-cap. So a lot of
Okay.
things, a lot of sites and a lot of sightings we take up in the pre-caps and the recaps, of course, in the evening.
Yeah.
But we try to have a lecture a day, but yes, the time is very intense on the Amazon. There's no like sea day
Yeah.
that you can pick a
River
pack
Day.
full with any lectures. um, but uh, but actually, you get a good amount of lectures talking about the history,
Yeah.
about the indigenous people, of course, about the plants and the wildlife. So we are working with the main topics, of course. And if we do have plenty of time, we can also make some additional lectures. But sometimes we also have to make a lecture in the evening, for example, when we know we don't start at 6 o'clock the next morning because of the passage we have to go through.
Yeah.
Then we can also put a lecture in the evening, which is not our favorite time, but well, you
Well,
have
it
to
is.
take
Yeah.
any minute you can get in the Amazon.
Exactly. I like how you think about this. So another question I had as well, just from a travel advisor's perspective, and you know, all we discussed now today, what kind of guest profile is the best fit for an Amazon expedition, both from a point of view of interest, travel style, physical fitness, anything they should know? I mean, if you could just sort of describe a perfect Amazon traveler.
Well, a perfect Amazon traveler is someone who does not expect driving through a zoo, but being open for everything. So it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
For my side, it doesn't matter for the age. Of course, you have to think about if you have a long travel, you
Hmm.
have a long journey to reach the Amazon, whether you start in Belém or in Iquitos. And of course, it's a little bit warmer than at home and a bit more humidity. So you have to adjust to that. But other than that, I do think you just need to be open-minded, and if you want to see it, go ahead and see it. Well, embarkation into the Zodiac. I mean, yes, for the Zodiac drivers, it's they're all experienced, and it's of course a challenge sometimes to work with the current, to get alongside, because you have like 5 knots of
Yeah.
current driving the Zodiac on the river. But it's not like that it's very heavily choppy like you have it maybe in Antarctica from time to time, that it's a bit
Yeah.
more challenging getting in and out. So that's an easier way, I would say. So just be open-minded, and if you want to explore it, it's one of the most amazing places in the world, and that's the perfect profile, I would say.
Brilliant. And what sort of pre-departure advice would you give to the travel advisors to help them prepare the clients before we go to Amazon?
Well, I think a couple of things are really like clothing
Hmm.
and also insect, but also sunscreen. Of
Yeah,
course, sunscreen protection is very important to take with you. You can get some insect repellent also in the Amazon, like going to Manaus. You get some local stuff, but there's some good stuff that we can buy in Europe already,
yeah.
which helps. And well, that's yeah, basically it.
Okay. And actually, Peter had a very good question as well. What's the situation with internet access in the middle of the Amazon? Um,
Well, actually, we do have quite a good internet connection nowadays, as
okay.
we are all the expedition ships are also equipped with Starlink.
Yeah.
So, remembering like our current situation, Northwest Passage in the earlier
Yeah.
days, we had no internet for like 8 days, because we were just
Yeah.
out of reach. But nowadays with Starlink, well,
Yeah.
all these Amazon expeditions now in the last 2 years, we never had any issue with the internet, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's always
Brilliant.
connected.
Yeah. And sort of going towards the end of this conversation, in your view, so what role can travel advisors play in helping guests to really appreciate the cultural and environmental significance of the Amazon before they even set foot on board the ship?
Well, they should trust the team that's on board because it's a big team, an experienced team. They
Mm,
know what they do, and we want to show everyone the best out of the Amazon. But also we have to adapt to the situation,
mm,
like weather-wise, for example. I mean, we're going in rainy season. Of course, there can be a rain shower from every now and then, so
yeah.
we are flexible. If we see the black wall coming, then we maybe postpone the start of the Zodiac tour for an hour because if everybody is drenched right at the beginning, it doesn't make sense. So we wait until the rain is gone. So there's a lot of expertise on board, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone is really up to the top to make the best experience
Mm-hmm.
for everyone. And I think one of the best advices is to do everything that we offer, to take
Yeah.
part in everything, because sometimes you have it as like, "Oh, it's too early. I don't want to get up that early." Yeah, but you're not coming back at that place. It's probably you do this once in a lifetime, to experience the Amazon. I haven't heard of anybody who has done it twice because it's such an amazing experience. Um, yeah, I
Okay.
think yeah, yeah.
And Charlotte had a question, what is the guest to guide ratio on board the expedition ships in Amazon?
So sorry, you were interrupted.
Sorry, what is the guest to guide ratio in Amazon? How many guests per expedition cruise team member would you say?
Well, we have a team, an expedition team, which is like, we are like in total with all the stuff, we're like
Uh-huh.
25
Yeah,
people. So we have
one
like
to
six
10, one to yeah,
experts, and we
yeah,
have like five spotters, and so
yeah.
it's about 1 to 15, I would say, roughly.
Okay, yep. And I imagine
Yeah.
as well you have a sufficient number of Zodiacs to deploy them, all the guests going at the same time and all that. Yeah. Okay.
We're not going all at the same time. We do it in 2 rounds
Ah,
because
okay.
with like 200 guests in the Zodiacs, we like to have it in 2 rounds.
Okay.
We have like 15 Zodiacs out, and of course we don't want to
Yeah.
we don't want to have it too much too narrow, basically, that everybody's just like with one
Okay.
Zodiac.
Okay.
So yeah, we split it in 2 groups,
And what is the other group usually doing
having
on board the
breakfast
ship?
in the meantime.
Okay. Excellent.
Or taking a
Very good.
rest.
Okay.
So
Very good.
we also split breakfast time. So the first group might have breakfast
Yeah.
after lunch, after the outing, and the second group has breakfast
Okay.
before that, and also in the afternoon. Well, it's basically only tea time affected, but we
Okay.
always adjust that everybody can have all meals, of course, but we split it in 2 groups. And most of the time, people do appreciate having some rest in between because it's very intense.
Yeah. But also it's because it's hot. I imagine that people just get, tired because it's quite hot. So it's just another thing that, especially if you live in the northern hemisphere, and you're coming, out of spring. So Peter has a question about vaccines. Are there any requirements for vaccines or?
Yes, you need to have
Okay.
a yellow fever vaccination. That's mandatory, yeah.
Okay,
But
brilliant.
that's it.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And I saved one of the questions probably for one of the last ones. So Alison asked about the does Hapag-Lloyd Cruises anticipate making this itinerary part of its, I would imagine, annual catalogue on an ongoing basis, or is it a one-time exploration? I think it's quite clear that you do repeat it on a regular basis. But then she also had some questions about roughly what is the percentage of clients who are between 50 to 75 of age on such expeditionary trips, and you know, whether you have more female or male travelers, how about the solos and couples, and just, you know, like just a
Okay.
little bit more
Yeah.
detail about who's traveling on board the ships these days.
Well, I think the average age between 50
Mm-hmm.
and 75 suits it very well.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the average.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have an overall average about 60.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a bit less. But like 50 to 75 is a good average. And whether there are more males than female, I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I think it's equal.
Okay.
And we always have a capacity. We always have vacancies for solo travelers.
Okay.
This is always dealt by the head office, so I'm not very much into that distribution, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest. But we always have solo travelers with us.
Okay. Brilliant.
Sometimes 10, sometimes 20,
Okay.
always depending on. But yeah.
I always thought that expedition cruising is perfect for solo travelers. It's safe, you get to meet people, you get to socialize. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So yeah, it's
That's true.
my absolutely big fan and promoter of solo travelers and expedition ships. Finally, I have probably the hardest question. Well, it depends how you see that. But if you had to describe the magic of an Amazon expedition in one or two sentences to inspire a travel advisor's client book, what would you say?
That was really the hardest question to think about, to be very honest. Well, it's not. I'm not able to put that in two sentences. I'm very sorry. I just had that conversation with guests a couple of days ago. They said, like, tell me if, like, in 5 sentences, why I should go to Antarctica or to the Amazon, and it's simply not possible because so many things are happening. It's the mixture of nature and culture, and visiting cities like Manaus, which needs to be on the itinerary, of course. I mean, going to the opera house, and if we're lucky, having a night out in there with, like last year, we were able to see Camina Burana. So it's like every day and every piece puts it together to be a nice, an amazing picture of a place where also not many people are going, basically, and especially taking a cruise. Of course, you can fly to Manaus and you can do some jungle lodges stuff or Alta do Chao or stuff like that. But sailing down or up with the ship gives you an overall view and a more intense view of the whole thing, I would say. So it's the mixture. It's like experiencing the carnival in Parinchins, which is a 100 years tradition to do so, and visiting communities, but also diving into the forest with the Zodiac just somewhere, and you think like, oh, you're never going to find that way back out. So that's really, and also then the evenings. I mean, the blue hours in the Amazon, they just round it up because yes, it gets dark within a minute, but the half an hour before, when the sun is setting and the whole thing just turns into colors you have never seen before. So it's, yeah, it's, I cannot do it in two sentences. I'm sorry. Not
Well,
possible.
brilliant. Nadine, this has been amazing. And I just want to really thank you for taking your time. I know you are traveling, and you know, it's actually fascinating that you can join this call while traveling on board the ship, just about to cross Northwest Passage, which, you know, is phenomenal. So thank you so much for that. And thank you as well for the audience who was quite active and asked loads of great questions. Look forward to connecting to you at some point somewhere in the world. And thank you once again for your incredible insights on Amazon expeditions with Hapag-Lloyd Cruises.
Thank
Safe
you very much.
journeys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.